How cool are the mountains? Man, it's gonna suck one day when I can't run up and down. I can't run up and down those mountains again. And that day is gonna come one day, and it's really gonna suck. Unless, of course, I get gobbled up and shit out a grizzly's butthole first. Look at that. Look at those mountains, man. It's beautiful. Beautiful place to be. Lucky place to be. Good place to share an email. Don't know what it's from. I rarely do know what it's from until I start reading it, but here we go. Dear Steve, thank you for the amazing platform you provided for us to get this weight off our chest. My name is Clint and I live in Utah. That's all I want to say about the location, because I've recently discovered that when the location of an encounter is given to the government, in my case a DWR, these creatures are suddenly in danger. 2 years ago while elk hunting, I came upon a grisly scene of mutilated deer and elk. They had been eaten, but for some reason placed in this exact spot. Bones everywhere. You could see that the legs had been broken. Capes that had been removed, except for the lower legs right where they had broke. At first I thought that I just stumbled upon a poacher's camp, but could not figure out why someone would go through the trouble of killing, then disposing of them in such a remote area, as I was about 2 miles in from any road. While looking around the scene, I was suddenly overcome with an extreme fear that I've never had before. Fear that hit kind of like right before you get in an accident is the best way I can describe it. Almost like your heart stops for an instant. Then I started to hear movement, very near, but far enough that I could not see what was making it. It all took only a couple minutes, but it felt like eternity as I realized there were multiple things moving around me and hearing them from all directions. That would suck. Then it happened. Out to my left came the loudest bark, deep guttural bark that I ever felt radiate through my body. I'm not one to frighten easily, but I just lost bowel control when it happened. I thought it was over for me. I made a hasty retreat back to my truck with no other problems. I then did something I'll regret for the rest of my life. I contacted the DWR. An officer met with me and explained what had happened. I gave him coordinates to the scene. He started telling me that it was probably a bear and he would check it out. I left it at that, not wanting to share with them that I'd seen these beings before, and I left back to camp for a well-deserved couple of calm-down drinks. The next morning started the weirdness as we started to see Army helicopters flying around the area. I hunted this area my whole life and I've never seen them flying up there, especially during a hunt. About 2 weeks later, when back for a different hunt, I found the mountain had been burned in the exact location where I had given the DWR. I feel like by giving the information, I may have caused harm, or at least forced them to move from their home. Is this all just coincidence? Maybe, but it still makes me wonder if I caused this to happen. I will never give information on this subject to any government agency again. And I just thought if you could share this and have it be known to people to do the same, maybe it'll save some of these creatures. Thanks again for what you're doing, and stay safe from the douchebags that don't want us to know the truth. All right. Goes on with a little bit of a confidentiality thing. All right, man. Thanks for that email, Clint. That sounds interesting. And again, as usual, it's not the first time that's been sent in or shared with the public, right? I had a law enforcement officer, ex-law enforcement officer, email me, and he told me that after he contacted that BF blow-ass group, that immediately the darkened SUVs and I think a state trooper came and rampaged the area. The private property helicopters were top, and these guys pulled him over and played good cop, bad cop with him. And obviously he knew his rights and he knew the law and was able to stand his ground, and he got out of that unscathed. But they threatened him with his retirement money. They threatened him with all sorts of stuff, demanding that he share with them everything he knew about the beings on this private land. And that is, of course, another piece of encouragement for me to expose that particular group to all you and what's really going on. So, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes when I read these emails and people share the locations, I somewhat leave out, the direct locations if it's at any time of a recent experience, right? Just because. But, and a lot of people want to have some kind of a mapping system put out where there's been sightings in North America. I personally can't dictate anything, it's just how I feel, but I don't think that is useful, because I know for a fact that these beings are everywhere and anywhere when they feel like it. There isn't no state or provincial border or county line that will dictate whether or not you may or may not run into these things. There just isn't. All right? It's random and it's everywhere, and there's nothing you can do about it. So that's how I feel about that. But there you go, Clint. I shared your email as requested. People will do with it as they will, take from it what they will. And you're not the only person to come across a kill site bone pile like that. There's been numerous of the same reported in from other hunters. I had a guy on the island just share that one with me a little while ago too. He found a spot where there's just bones all over the place in this dark hole, and he thought it was a bear and said he's going to set up a trail camera to get it on trail camera when I already knew. No, that's not going to happen. Bears don't do that. But anyway, that's interesting. Let's see what I still got you guys here. What else do I got? Hi, Steve. I admire the effort you put into the truth that so many people wish to share. My story. My name is Joe. I'm a 64-year-old disabled veteran of the United States Army, which has served from 1973 till 1988 as an armored cavalry soldier. I'm also a native. Tsalagi, Tsalagi, Cherokee person who was born and raised here in the woods of East Tennessee. Prior to my experience in 1990, I had no fear of anything in the forest. For recreation, we ran 3 dogs, hunting raccoons and opossums at night, just like our father and grandfather had done before us. At the time of our experience, I lived on the very edge of the Cherokee National Forest, just south of Bristol, Tennessee. There are places in that forest that man has never seen or walked. Most of the forest is covered with old-growth trees, and underneath the canopy are laurel thickets that even light cannot get through. One evening I asked my cousin Ronnie to go run the dogs up to the face of Holston Mountain with me. My dogs were good at their jobs, and if there was anything in the forest to tree, they would find it. We drove up Troublesome Hollow Road at twilight and unloaded the dogs at the foot of the Holston Mountain, grabbed our rifles, which were 2 old .22 Marlins. Just right to take a coon off a treetop. We untied the dogs, grabbed our spotlights, and went following the dogs up a deep hollow that led up the face of the mountain. There was no sweeter sound than a pack of big old hounds running a scent or barking a tree. It soon turned pitch black. I'm sure you know the blackness I write about. The kind where if it were not for few stars shining, one might think he was blind. God, how I love that, and I sure miss it. We were maybe 1,000 feet up the mountain when the dogs went completely silent. It was a strange silence, too. It had rained earlier that day, and the ground cover was wet, and it muffled the sound of old leaves so you could not even hear your own footfalls. I blew my whistle for the dogs, and we listened, hearing nothing. A good 10 minutes passed, and I began to think the dogs had crossed the mountain and went down the other side out of earshot. I turned on my spotlight and whistled again. Soon we heard them coming, but not barking like usual. Just as soon as the 4 dogs got to where we were, they ran off again down the mountain, the way we had come. They had never acted like that before, and I had no idea what was wrong with them. It was about then that the air became permeated with a god-awful stench like rotting flesh in a sewage plant. What was smelling this bad was somewhat alarming. My cousin thinks it has to be a rotting corpse of a hunter or maybe a murder victim. Curiosity has us both, and we both have to press on up into the wind to see what this could be. This stinks so bad. It is slow moving in the tangled laurel thickets, but we soon get to a rock shelf that is some 6 feet above our heads. I point my light up onto the rock, and it stands up straight. My cousin swears he shit his pants. We both just stood there. What do you do when you're face to face with a creature deserving of your worst nightmares? I first thought, shoot it, but realizing all I had was a .22 rifle, that would just piss it off. Ronnie dropped his rifle and the light, as I did, and we ran through the tangled thickets down the side of the mountain in the total blackness. When we reached the road, where the truck was parked, the dogs were under the truck, and both us humans were bleeding profusely from the hundreds of cuts and scrapes we received from the brambles, sticks, and rocks we rolled and fell through. I can close my eyes and see it. We were nearly looking straight up at this animal thing. It was tall and wide. I would guesstimate some 8 feet and 700 pounds worth of animal, except its face looked perfectly human, with maybe some slight brow protrusion. Perfectly human. Got that? I remember those eyes and those yellow teeth. Its skin was the color of graphite. It uttered not a sound. It just stood up from a crouch as if to dominate us. It succeeded. Both rifles and lights are still on that mountain after all these years, and I will not go back to find mine. It can have them. My cousin, he used to hunt all the time, has not been back in the woods since. I suppose that in all my years, this is the only time I was truly scared. I mean, pee your pants scared. Today I can't even look at a stand of trees without thinking about what might be hiding inside. I hear you on that one. I'm still looking over my shoulder right now today as I'm reading this email. I'm looking over my shoulder and looking around. You can't stop yourself. I've been hunting only once in the mountains since, and with a buddy. We were hunting white-tailed deer. On that hunt, I fell into a deep, large hole in the ground covered with leaves, and there was steam coming up. There was that same odor, and we experienced that night on the mountain, except much less strong. I grabbed a sapling as the ground gave in, or I might have been gone still today because we could not see the bottom of that hole. That day was the last day I've ever gone into the woods, and that was years ago. I still visit that big stinking brute inside my head when I think about him. Feel free to share my story if you wish. It's 100% the truth. But till now, there has been nobody to share it with. Nobody who cares anyway. Good hunting, Steve, and God bless you, brother. Joe. Holy shit, Joe. What a frickin' experience that one was, man. How about that hole in the ground with steam coming out of it, with a hint of that stink that you couldn't see the bottom of? Holy shit. It just makes you wonder, right? I mean, I always get people always email me and tell me about, they basically dictate to me the exact names of these beings and how they live underground, and they were once slaves for some other aliens and all this other shit. Stuff that obviously can't be proven. It sounds far out there, but who knows, man? Everything is far out there. Just the fact that we're alive is far out there. And if you don't think so, you better give your head a bit of a shake. Every single thing about this entire planet, about our lives, should be unbelievable. So it's amazing how some people will decide what to take and treat as normal and what to take and treat as impossible, when in reality, nothing's impossible. But wow, that's quite the description, quite the experience. I would have scared the absolute shit out of 100% of anybody who experienced that. I can't imagine putting that flashlight up. Well, I kind of can imagine. I didn't get to see the facial features of the thing that was above me on that rock looking down at me. It was just a crisp silhouette. Maybe I'm possibly lucky I didn't get to see its facial features. Who knows? Maybe that would have possibly ruined it for me altogether then. I don't know. But what an experience. And again, absolute human-like appearance in the face. You got that, you guys? You realize how many times that's been reported? Probably, what, 99.9% of the face-to-face encounters, they say the same thing. Human. Too human-like. Very human-like. That's a fact. Anybody who claims to be a researcher and dictates to you that these things are a monkey or a primate are either A, dumb as a stick, or B, intentionally lying to you. They're not a monkey or an ape, all right? But that hole in the ground, man, that'd almost be, I would almost be, well, I don't know if he'd be that tempted, but I'm sure there is a pile of you out there that would love to go to investigate that hole, wouldn't you? I don't know what it'd take to get you to maybe get a friend that you trust, a couple of good pieces of self-defense, and go up there and see if that hole's still there. Maybe videotape it, get a picture of it or something. That'd be very, very interesting to see that, man. I don't blame you if you'd never do that, but would I do it? I think I'd do it. I think I'd go up to that hole, possibly with you, check it out and throw a video camera on it, maybe. If it goes straight down, would that be interesting to send a camera down there with a light on a fishing rod? It'd have to be live feed, though, in case it never came back up. It's an amazing ride, man. This lifetime is one hell of an amazing ride. And for the curious that want to know, you just want to know more than you don't. I want to know. I want to know everything. I want to know the truth to every single thing of our reality. That's what I want to know. I don't want to know before it's over. I want to know if there's skills out there that we have that we don't know about. I want to know it all. You know what I mean? I want to know I want to know who is behind the big power struggle in our existence. Why? I want to know who the true good is. I want to know who the true evil is. I want to know what's going on. I want to know why we are so manipulated and dumbed down. I want to know why. I want to know why that is so important to keep all of us in a dumb state. I want to know why that is so important. I want to know why there's such a huge effort to keep us there. I want to know why. You know what I mean? I can go on with the whys forever. But anyway, we'll keep plugging along. I don't know about you guys, but I'm learning more. Aren't you?